Joining me today is Dia Mirza, an exceptional model, an exceptional actor, an exceptional producer. But above all that, she is exceptional because she is tirelessly working towards making this world a better place for all of us to live in. Thank you very much, Dia,
Thank you, Vivek.
for giving us the hope that an individual too can make such a difference.
Only individuals will make a difference.
I have so much to talk to you about, and I'm going to go back right to your childhood. I was going through your website where you said something which just left me completely astonished. You said that when you were 16, you made up your mind that you were going to be financially independent. And I don't know of a single 16-year-old who thinks that way. How did that happen? Why did you start thinking that way?
I think it was a combination of many things, but I think very early in life I understood that the most empowering thing for an individual is financial independence. To be able to earn your own income and then of course change your life with that. I look back now and I think of it differently, but I'll discuss that with you later. My parents went through a terrible divorce when I was 5 years old, and my early memories of their relationship was one that was filled with love. They were very unique individuals, both of them, creative, artistic, emotional. Their way of life was very unique. Their choices were unique. And I couldn't for the life of me understand why these two people had decided to exit their marriage. And I remember asking my mother why at 5. And she said, two people might love each other a lot, but that doesn't mean they can live together. And I think one of the biggest burdens in their relationship was their financial crisis. My father was a creative man. He believed in seeking, exploring. He did a lot and he was a remarkable human being, but he was also whimsical, and he didn't have the discipline of everyday life, which is get up, go to work, earn so and so money. And I think the overheads and the financial stress of having to bring up a child, having to deal with all the pressures that came with life just tore into their beautiful relationship. And I witnessed that at a very young age. And then both of them went on to remarry. I lost my father when I was 9. But even with my stepfather, Abba, was also, again, very interesting backdrop, because he was born into what is called a Khandani Hyderabadi household. So they had lots of real estate, all of that. But I saw my mother struggle with money a lot. I used to get 15 clothes every Dasera. And that's what I would have to make do with for the rest of the year. There was no dearth of anything, but every material possession was measured. It was not easily given. You can say that I didn't have what is called an indulged childhood. And it's not like I grew up with that feeling that, I want to own all these things and I want all these material things. But I just knew that money had played a very terrifying part in my mother's life, and I didn't want to go through that ever. And I didn't want to be dependent on anybody financially. So I think at a very young age, the desire to go out and earn my own money. Also, I think it came from a fight I had with my mother. I wanted some fancy shoes and they were exorbitantly priced, and my mother looked at me and she said, money doesn't grow on trees, and there's absolutely no way I'm buying you that, and we can't afford such things. Why are you being so demanding? And I was very hurt because I wasn't a demanding child. I was very, very measured even in my demands as a child because I understood the circumstance. So that really hurt my ego. And I said, you wait and watch. I will make my own money. I will stand up and I will never ever ask you for money ever again. And at 16, I started working.
Your schooling was very interesting as well, Dia, because you went to a school based on the teachings of J. Krishnamurti. And what would you describe the biggest takeaway from that education at that early age and around the time this was playing on in your life?
Vivek, I understand his philosophy and the system of that education so much better now than perhaps when I did back then. It's easily the most incredible gift my parents could have ever given me. From understanding the context of nature and the role that it played in our lives, from building a relationship with nature at such a young age. We were taught how to make compost pits at 8 and 9. We were taught how to grow vegetables. We were exposed to art and culture and music and elocution, and the fact that even on sports day there was no medals. Everybody got a laddu. So the idea that you can achieve excellence, individual excellence, through individual pursuit, and it's not about competing with other human beings or outdoing someone in order to be called the best. That was, I think, a gift. So I had Vidyaranya, which was a school, and then I had Frank, who was my father. And interestingly enough, even Abba was very similar to my father. He had a very seeking and a very, very adventurous streak about him. I remember him telling me always, never accept anything anybody tells you until you question it, understand it, and fully become aware of what it is that they're trying to say.
You've been an achiever, but above all that, you're described as a good human being by a lot of people. And would you say that it all goes back, and we'll talk about some of your social endeavors in a bit, but would you say it all goes back to your childhood and your education? This whole grounded approach, that you are an extremely grounded person. Success hasn't really kind of made you go bonkers, if I may put it that way.
I think I'm grounded and rooted because of these value systems. And it's an effort. I mean, it's not easy to remain true to yourself. And I was very young when I saw extraordinary success and a lot of money. And a lot of people can get very easily haywire with that, just go crazy. And I think I did as well for a little bit. I mean, not in the sense that it didn't make me vain or it didn't make me rude, but I think it took me away from my core, from myself. I think it took failures for me to go back to my innate self and kind of tap back into that wonderful resource bank that had been cultivated over the years and say, hey, you know what, I'm about so much more than this. My idea of me can't be quantified by the films I do or the roles that I play on screen. I am about so much more.
Do you invest? Would you call yourself an investor as well, or would you say you've just been a saver?
My uncle was the vice chancellor at the University of Purdue, and a few years ago he got really worried during my wedding especially, and he called my mother and he said, I've been an economic professor for so many years, and why doesn't she take my advice? I'm really worried about her financial portfolio. Who's handling it? So my mother said she handles it herself. I have no idea what's going on with her money, but I just know that she seems to know what she's doing. So he said, send me her financial portfolio. So I sent it across to him, and he looked at it and he said, oh my God, she's more sensible than most people her age. She's doing okay. Then of course he called me and he said, FDs. I was like, why? You don't believe in taking risks? And he was like, yeah, it's good to take risks, but it's also good to be sure that you have that. So.
And would you say you have a fairly well-balanced portfolio?
I don't know what that is. All I know.
Do you have enough in equity as well as in FDs, etc.? Is it a mix of multiple, or is it just all in one?
It's a mix, but I have to say that I'm conservative. I like to have access to liquid, because when I have invested in portfolios in the past, where you start getting paybacks, and after a few years or 10-year plans, you're supposed to have earned a certain amount of interest, and then money starts coming back to you. I've realized that these portfolios then find a way of delaying that return and or just kind of buying more time and all of that. Because I run my own company and I'm invested in it whole and soul, there have been instances when I've needed cash. I've just needed to have access to large amounts of money to get my films off the floor or get things going, and I found it very difficult to break investment plans and things like that. So I think I'm just going more for fixed deposits and money that I can access back easily or quickly, and not kind of locking it away for too long.